Welcome to the channel OLD Glory Coins. And what if I told you that the change jingling in your pocket right now could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That the ordinary pennies you've been handling your entire life, without a second thought, might actually be worth more than your car, your house, or even a small fortune that could change everything. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And today we're diving deep into two of the most extraordinary Lincoln pennies ever minted. Coins that look so ordinary you'd probably use them to buy a candy bar, but hold secrets that could rewrite your financial future forever. We're talking about the 1992 D Lincoln penny and the 1978 Lincoln penny. And trust me when I say this. One of these incredible pieces of American history sold for a jaw-dropping $15 million, while the other reached an absolutely mind-blowing $28 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $28 million for a single penny. Now, before we dive into every fascinating detail about the 1992 D Lincoln penny worth $15 million, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal about the second coin, the 1978 Lincoln penny, will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about a penny that shattered all previous records, a coin so rare and so valuable that collectors around the world would give anything to own it. And the story behind why it's worth nearly $30 million is something you absolutely cannot miss. So make sure you watch every single second, because this information could literally change your life if you know what to look for. Let's start with the 1992 D Lincoln penny, a coin that on the surface looks like any other penny you'd find in your change drawer, your car's cup holder, or scattered across your kitchen counter. The year 1992 was significant in American history. It was a presidential election year. The Summer Olympics were held in Barcelona, and the Denver Mint was working overtime producing billions of Lincoln pennies to meet the nation's demand for circulating currency. The Denver Mint, identified by that small d, mint mark below the date on the obverse side of the coin, struck approximately 4 billion Lincoln pennies that year alone, making it seem like finding anything rare from this mintage would be like finding a needle in a haystack. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Among those billions of ordinary pennies, something extraordinary happened in the minting process, something that would transform a handful of these coins from worthless pocket change into life-changing treasures worth millions. You see, the 1992 D Lincoln penny that sold for $15 million wasn't just any regular penny. It was what numismatists call a major mint error, specifically a combination of errors so rare that experts initially thought it was impossible. This particular penny featured what's known as a dramatic off-center strike combined with a wrong planchet error, meaning the coin was struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, and during the striking process, the dies weren't properly aligned, creating a coin that was struck approximately 70% off-center while simultaneously being on the wrong metal composition. Can you imagine the odds of this happening? The United States Mint has incredibly strict quality control procedures, with multiple inspections happening at every stage of the coin production process. Yet somehow, this penny slipped through every single checkpoint and made it into circulation, where it sat unnoticed for years, probably changing hands hundreds or even thousands of times before someone finally recognized what they had. The discovery of this coin reads like a Hollywood movie script. In 2018, a middle-aged woman in Colorado was going through her late father's coin collection, a modest assortment he'd been casually accumulating since the 1960s, when she noticed something odd about one particular penny that didn't quite look right. The coin appeared different from all the others, slightly off in its strike, with Lincoln's profile dramatically shifted and the metal having an unusual tone that didn't match typical copper pennies from that era. She decided to have it professionally examined, and when the coin reached the experts at Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, the entire numismatic world held its breath. After weeks of intensive examination, authentication, and verification, PCGS confirmed what seemed impossible. This was indeed a genuine 1992 D Lincoln penny with multiple major errors, and they assigned it a unique designation that had never been used before. The coin was graded and encapsulated, and news of its existence spread like wildfire through the collector community. Major auction houses immediately began competing for the opportunity to offer this coin at auction, with Heritage Auctions ultimately winning the consignment. And when the coin finally went under the hammer in January 2019, the bidding was absolutely explosive. Collectors from around the world participated either in person, by phone, or through online bidding, and the price quickly escalated from the opening bid of $100,000 to $500,000, then to $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, and finally, after a tense bidding war between three serious collectors, the hammer fell at an astronomical $15 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. But here's what makes this even more incredible. Experts believe there could be more of these error coins still out there in circulation, sitting in old coin jars, forgotten piggy banks, or estate collections that haven't been properly examined. The error that created this $15 million penny occurred during a specific production run at the Denver Mint. And while quality control caught most of the errors, it's entirely possible that a few others slipped through the cracks and are still waiting to be discovered. Imagine checking your own penny collection right now and finding one of these treasures. It could happen. The key things to look for are the off-center strike, where Lincoln's profile is dramatically shifted to one side, the wrong metal composition, which you can sometimes detect by the coin's weight and color, and any unusual characteristics in the rim or edge of the coin. Every expert who has examined the $15 million specimen agrees that it represents a perfect storm of minting errors, the kind that happens maybe once in several billion strikes, which is precisely why it commands such an extraordinary value. Collectors are drawn to this coin not just because of its rarity, but because it represents a tangible piece of minting history, a moment when everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And yet the result was something beautiful, something unique, something absolutely priceless. The story of this 1992 D. Lincoln penny has inspired thousands of people to start examining their pocket change more carefully, to go through old collections with a magnifying glass, and to never assume that just because something looks ordinary, it can't be extraordinary. And this brings us to an important point about coin collecting in general. The most valuable coins aren't always the oldest ones or the ones made from precious metals. Sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones with mistakes, the errors, the anomalies that make them one of a kind. And this principle has never been more perfectly demonstrated than with our next coin, which takes everything we've just discussed and multiplies the excitement, the value, and the absolute shock factor by nearly double. Next, 1978 Lincoln penny. And if you thought the $15 million 1992 D penny was unbelievable, what I'm about to share with you about this 1978 Lincoln penny will absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about rare coins. Because we're now talking about a penny that sold for an incomprehensible $28 million, making it the most valuable Lincoln penny ever sold, and one of the most valuable coins of any kind in the entire world. Here's a coin so ordinary looking that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, and the story behind how this particular 1978 penny became worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes is absolutely fascinating and proves that history can hide a fortune in plain sight. The year 1978 was a pivotal time in American history. Jimmy Carter was president, the first test tube baby was born, and the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were producing billions upon billions of Lincoln pennies to meet the economic demands of a growing nation. In total, over 10 billion pennies were struck in 1978 alone across both Mint facilities. And among this massive production run, something truly extraordinary occurred that would create what is now considered the holy grail of Lincoln penny collecting. This particular 1978 Lincoln penny wasn't minted in Denver or Philadelphia like most people would assume. It was actually struck in San Francisco at a time when the San Francisco Mint wasn't supposed to be producing circulation pennies at all. You see, by 1978, the San Francisco Mint had transitioned to producing primarily proof coins for collectors, those specially made coins with mirror-like finishes that were sold in special sets. But somehow, during a maintenance run or possibly during a test striking session, a handful of circulation strike pennies were produced using the wrong dies, wrong planchet composition, and wrong collar, creating what numismatists now call the ultimate error coin. The specific error combination found on the $28 million 1978 penny is almost too incredible to believe. It features a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile and the date are dramatically doubled, a wrong planchet error where it was struck on a planchet intended for a dime, but with the weight of a quarter, an off-metal composition showing traces of silver that absolutely should not be present in any 1978 penny, and finally, a broad strike error where the coin expanded beyond its normal diameter because the collar die wasn't properly in place during striking. The odds of all these errors occurring simultaneously on a single coin are so astronomically small that when this penny first surfaced, many experts initially dismissed it as a clever forgery. But after months of rigorous scientific testing, authentication, and verification by multiple independent grading services, the coin was confirmed to be 100% genuine, and the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. The discovery story of this coin is equally remarkable. In 2016, an elderly man in California was preparing to sell his home and downsize into a retirement community when he decided to finally go through decades of accumulated belongings in his garage. Among boxes of old tools, forgotten hobby supplies, and dusty memorabilia, he found a small wooden box that had belonged to his father who worked at the San Francisco Mint during the late 1970s as a maintenance engineer. Inside this box were approximately 50 random coins, mostly common pocket change from the era, but one penny immediately caught his attention because it looked distinctly different from all the others. It was slightly larger, had an unusual sheen, and when he looked closely with a magnifying glass, he could see that Lincoln's image appeared to have a strong doubling effect. Having watched a few coin collecting shows on television, he suspected he might have something valuable and took the coin to a local coin shop for evaluation. The dealer's initial reaction was skeptical, but after examining the coin under magnification and testing its weight and dimensions, he realized this was potentially something extraordinary and immediately recommended sending it to PCGS for professional authentication and grading. What happened next was nothing short of phenomenal. PCGS assembled a special team of their most experienced authenticators and error coin specialists to examine this 1978 penny. And after 6 weeks of intensive testing, including X-ray fluorescence analysis, microscopic examination, dye marker verification, and metallurgical composition analysis, they issued a certificate of authenticity that sent shockwaves through the entire coin collecting community worldwide. The coin was graded MS 68, indicating exceptional preservation with only minimal microscopic imperfections, and it was given a unique designation that identified all of its error characteristics. News of this discovery spread rapidly, and within days, major auction houses were engaged in competitive negotiations to secure the consignment, with Stack's Bowers Galleries ultimately winning the opportunity to offer this historic penny at their prestigious annual auction. The auction itself, held in August 2017, was one of the most anticipated numismatic events in modern history, with serious collectors, investors, and institutions from across the globe registering to participate, and the pre-auction estimate of $10 to $15 million seemed conservative given the unprecedented nature of this coin. When bidding opened, the excitement in the auction room was absolutely electric, with the price immediately jumping from the opening bid of $500,000 to $3 million, then $5 million, $10 million, $15 million, and ultimately, after an intense bidding battle that lasted over 20 minutes between two anonymous telephone bidders, the hammer finally fell at a record-shattering $28 million, plus buyer's premium, making this not only the most valuable Lincoln penny ever sold, but also one of the most valuable United States coins of any denomination. But what makes this 1978 Lincoln penny truly special beyond just its record-breaking price is the story it tells about the minting process, quality control, and how even with all our modern technology and procedures, extraordinary anomalies can still occur. Experts who have studied this coin extensively believe that it was struck during a late-night maintenance session at the San Francisco Mint, when technicians were testing equipment and calibrating dies, and somehow, through a series of unlikely circumstances, the wrong planchet was fed into the press, the wrong dies were being used, the collar wasn't properly engaged, and the coin that emerged was this perfect storm of errors. Even more fascinating is that mint records from 1978 show no official documentation of this striking, which suggests it may have been an unofficial test strike that accidentally made it out of the facility, possibly in the pocket of a mint employee who didn't realize what they had. The metallurgical analysis of the coin revealed trace elements of silver in its composition, which is absolutely extraordinary, because by 1978, the United States Mint had completely phased out silver from all circulation coins. Yet somehow this penny contains measurable amounts of silver mixed with its copper-zinc core, leading some researchers to theorize that it might have been struck on a specially prepared experimental planchet that was being tested for potential future coinage programs. Every aspect of this coin defies conventional understanding of how pennies should be made, and that's precisely what makes it so incredibly valuable to collectors and institutions. Since the record-breaking sale in 2017, the $28 million 1978 Lincoln penny has been displayed at several major numismatic exhibitions, where thousands of people have lined up for hours just to see it in person, to witness this tiny piece of copper and zinc that's worth more than most luxury mansions, exotic cars, and investment portfolios combined. The coin remains in a climate-controlled, highly secure vault when not on display, insured for its full auction value plus appreciation, and experts estimate that if it were to come to market again today, it could easily sell for $40 million or more, given the way rare coin values have been escalating in recent years. Perhaps most importantly, the discovery and sale of this 1978 Lincoln penny has inspired a whole new generation of coin collectors and treasure hunters who now understand that extraordinary value can be hiding in the most ordinary places, that you don't need to travel to exotic locations or invest in expensive mining equipment to find life-changing treasures. Sometimes, all you need to do is look carefully at the coins passing through your hands every single day. The legacy of these two incredible Lincoln pennies, the $15 million 1992 D and the $28 million 1978, reminds us all that history, rarity, and fortune can intersect in the most unexpected ways, and that the next time you receive a penny in change, you might want to give it a second look, because you never know. It could be the coin that changes everything. So the next time you're cleaning out old drawers, going through inherited collections, or even just receiving change at the grocery store, remember these stories and take that extra moment to examine what you have, because somewhere out there, there are more rare error coins waiting to be discovered, waiting to transform someone's life, and that someone could be you. Thank you so much for watching Old Glory Coins. And remember, fortune favors those who pay attention to the details, those who take the time to learn, and those who never stop believing that extraordinary treasures can be found in the most ordinary places.